As of right now, we don't know if Dragon Ball Super will overwrite the end of Z or not, so as of the time of writing this, I planned for the end of Z and GT to follow Dragon Ball Super in the timeline. However, I'm not going to mention the God forms directly in this part, since Dragon Ball Super isn't finished yet. So, until Dragon Ball Super is finished, I won't start doing the parts about Dragon Ball GT. Anyway, sorry for the interruption with this brief note, so on with this part. It's been 10 years since the defeat of Majin Buu, and the Earth has relatively been in a time of peace, except for a little bit of conflict now and again, but it is now age 784. However, since Saiyans start to age rapidly once they reach the age of 80, it would be important to try and figure out how old Gine is. We don't have any statements for her age, so I basically must make a random guess for when she was born. I'll say she was 29 when Planet Vegeta was destroyed at age 737, meaning she was born at age 708. So, by the time at age 784, she would be 76, but she was dead for 7 years and in a hyperbolic time chamber for at least 5 years. So, at age 784, she is at least 74 if going by the Super timeline up until the fight with Broly. Anyway, after these 10 years pass, Trunks, Cammy, and Kenny go to see Gohan, asking where Goten is. So, Gohan informs them that Goten is out training with Goku, and that Vegeta, Bulma, Raditz, Tights, and Broly are there as well. In these past 10 years, while Piccolo would have been helping babysit Pan after she was born 5 years ago, I think Gine would have been helping babysit and train Pan. So, while Pan is still close to Goku like she is in GT, she gets really close to her great-grandmother, Gine. However, there are also times Gine would have been going to Universe 6 to train Caulifla and Kale like she promised to. At this time of Goku and Goten training, she would be training with Pan as well, which, where they are training, when Bulma arrives she chastises Goku for not having come and seen them in forever, since he last dropped in to see them years ago. Regardless, Vegeta mainly arrived to ask Goku if it was true if he was going to the 28th World Martial Arts Tournament tomorrow, and Goku does indeed reveal this is true. When Vegeta asks him why, he says it's because there's going to be a great fighter that will be at the tournament, and that he's been waiting for them to show up. At this point, Trunks, Cammy, and Kenny show up, asking if Goten is joining the tournament, and he says Goku is having him join. Next, Bola, Raditz's daughter Hiki, and Krillin's daughter Marin would show up too. Since Pan was being trained, Vegeta and Raditz decided to train their daughters. Then, since Marin was close friends with Pan, Hiki, and Bola, she was convinced to start training as well. When Vegeta and Raditz find out that Pan and the kids were joining, they have Trunks, Cammy, and Kenny join too, or else they'll cut their allowance. I was having a hard time deciding if Broly would be in the tournament or not, though Goku would want him to join so he could fight him, but then Gine would also be understanding of Broly's side of him not liking to fight. So, since I couldn't decide, I flipped the coin to decide, and it came up with that Broly doesn't join the tournament, he just goes to watch it. Meanwhile, Hercule was talking with Buu and discussing the plan for the tournament, saying it will be the same as usual. Buu will be the winning challenger, and lose to Hercule, but Buu will go easy on the others so they will want to compete in other years. Gine and everyone then shows up to visit Hercule, where Pan tells them they're all competing. Though Gine lets him know if any of them make it to the finals, they'll let him win. They still ask Hercule if he can get the other seats since the stands are full, and he agrees, giving them seats set up right by the ring. Also, since Beerus and Whis would still come visit Earth, they would come spectate this tournament as well, but they mainly came for the food. As the fighters arrive at the ring so the announcer can draw lots for the matches, Goku has Buu use his magic to cheat the fights. So, the matches end up like this. The first match is Pan vs Wild Tiger, the second is Gine vs Nock, the third is Goku vs Oob, the fourth is Buu vs Goten, the fifth is Bola vs Marin, the sixth is Trunks vs Vegeta, the seventh is Cammy vs Kenny, and the eighth is Raditz vs Hiki. After these fights are set up, Vegeta has Goku explain why he is going against some kid. So, Goku explains that this kid is the reincarnation of Buu, and that King Yima listened to Goku's wish for Buu to come back as someone good someday after he managed to defeat Buu with the Spirit Bomb. Pan's match with Wild Tiger goes the same, with her knocking Wild Tiger out of the ring with only 2 hits. In the second match, Gine would easily hit Nock out of the ring in 1 hit. Afterwards, Goku introduces himself to Oob since they're up next in the third match, then they're called to the ring. In the fight with Goku and Oob, Goku would start mocking him and his family to make Oob mad, which, once he is, their fight would start to get serious with them going blow for blow. After Goku shows off flying, Oob reveals he can't do this, so Goku comes down and apologizes for the insults and explains he just wanted to see his full power. Anyway, Goku still promises to give him the prize money from Hercule if he agrees to come train with him. However, Goku doesn't leave with Oob right that moment. He stays at the tournament to finish it off, so he could fight with the others, as he was excited to see how strong they have gotten. So, he would knock Oob out of the ring and tell him to watch the fights from the stands. He'll come get him after the tournament. In the next fight between Buu and Goten, I don't believe Goten would stand much of a chance here. After all, when Goten's match was announced in the manga, he said it was no fair that he was being put up against Buu in the first round, which, even though Goten has been training with Goku, he wouldn't be able to do much against Buu in just his base form, which the fighters probably wouldn't use Super Saiyan in this tournament, mainly because of the same reason they didn't back in the 25th World Martial Arts Tournament, which was to not remind people of the Cell games. So, especially without Super Saiyan, Goten doesn't stand a chance and is defeated by Buu. Next would be the fight between Bola and Eren, which even without Super Saiyan being allowed, I don't think Pan, Bola, or Hiki would have had Super Saiyan unlocked yet, so it could be an extremely close fight between Bola and Eren. However, I think Bola would win this fight, as I believe her being trained by Krillin would make her stronger than Eren, who would have been trained by Krillin in 18, though she still would be extremely strong, so this fight is basically a toss-up between the two. Next is a fight between Trunks and Vegeta, which the result of this fight is obvious. It would basically be a one-sided fight with Vegeta being the winner. However, he would probably start slow so that he could be able to test out Trunks' power. However, when Trunks gets to his full power, Vegeta still wouldn't be at his, he would just power up to be slightly stronger than Trunks. So, without the use of Super Saiyan, this is basically as far as Trunks would be able to go in the fight, which Vegeta would knock Trunks out of the ring, thus winning the match. After this match is the match between Kami and Kemi, which this match can really go either way. The twins are equally matched in power, so I can see this fight ending up in a way that the one between Goku and Jackie Chun did, meaning that whoever is the first one to stand up and declare themselves the winner would be the one to go on to the next round. Since in the 25th World Martial Arts Tournament I said Kami won that match, I'll take Kami as the one to win this match, though I also did a coin flip, and it chose Kemi as well, so either way she would have ended up being the winner regardless if I chose, or if I left it up to the coin flip to decide. The last match of the first round is between Raditz and his younger daughter, Hiki, which this would be a very similar fight to Trunks' and Vegeta's fight, though Raditz wouldn't have to use nearly as much power as he did against Trunks. Anyway, it would start slow, with him testing Hiki's power just to see how strong she's gotten from her training. Eventually, however, after a while of fighting, he would power up so that he was a little stronger than her, which he would gently knock her out of the ring so he doesn't hurt his daughter after all. Raditz would still plan to continue her training after the tournament is over, though. The matches of the second round are as follows. The first is Pan vs Gine, the second is Goku vs Buu, the third is Bola vs Vegeta, and the fourth is Kemi vs Raditz. The first match of the second round is between Pan and Gine, which Gine would be excited to be able to test the power of her student and her great-granddaughter. Of course, she would have to start off slow though, as Pan wouldn't be able to match her in strength. I do think this fight would end in a similar way to Goku and Oob's fight, with her promising to train Pan more after the tournament, though she wouldn't plan to just take off with Pan like Goku did with Oob in the actual story, as Pan still must go through school since she is only 4 at this time. The next match is between Goku and Buu, which would be a close match. In the manga when Goku talked to Hercule, Goku himself said that Buu could end up being the finalist, so even though Goku got stronger since the Buu saga, he still believed that Buu could potentially beat him. This makes sense though, especially since they put the limitation of no using Super Saiyan on themselves. However, Goku might use the Kaioken since he didn't make a self-imposed rule about that technique. So, while it is a close fight, I believe he would be able to just barely win out against Buu. Next is the fight against Vegeta and Bola, which would end up much like his fight against Trunks or like Raditz's fight against Hiki. He starts out slow to test his daughter's power, since he has been training her directly. He would be curious to see how far she has come, especially in comparison to Goku's granddaughter and Raditz's daughter. After Bola uses her full power, Vegeta would start to use more of his power too. He would be proud of how far Bola has come under his training, but he would still win by gently knocking her out of the ring, with him vowing to train her more later. Then the final match of the second round is between Kemi and Raditz, which Kemi would be able to put up far more of a fight than Hiki would, so Raditz would have to resort to using more of his power than he did earlier. This still ends up like the earlier fights between him and Hiki or like the ones between Vegeta and his children, with him starting off slow until he eventually powers up enough that he can beat them. However, like he did with Hiki, he would knock her out of the ring gently too, since, of course, he still wouldn't like to accidentally hurt his daughters. The matches of the third round are as follows. The first match is Gine vs Goku, and the second is Vegeta vs Raditz. Both fights would be long and drawn out ones, but with the Goku and Gine fight, it would go slightly faster than the second match. Gine would be slightly ahead of Goku, like how Goku is basically always one step ahead of Vegeta. So, when the two resort to using their full power in their base forms, Gine would gain the upper hand in their fight. Though, I don't know if Goku would be using the Kaioken in this fight, since there's not really any time to heal between the fights. He wouldn't have time to rest, and I don't know if he'd be well enough to use the Kaioken again. Anyway, because of this, after a while she would knock Goku out of the ring, though she would be proud to see how far her son has come since the day she and Bardock sent him away from planet Vegeta. Next is the fight between Vegeta and Raditz, which is another extremely drawn out fight, as these two were evenly matched. However, I think one of these two rivals has a trait that would be able to help them get the win. Raditz is much more of a cautious and calculating fighter, so after a while of going head to head with Vegeta, he theoretically would be able to find an opening or come up with a plan to knock Vegeta out of the ring. Of course, losing to Raditz would temporarily anger the prince, but he'd just vow to train even harder to surpass Raditz and Kakarot, the vow to surpass him in Gine. So, this leaves the only match of the 4th round being between Gine and Raditz. This would go very similar to her fight with Gine and Goku, but since Goku is stronger than Raditz in this timeline, the gap between him and Gine is even wider. She'd still start off slow though, so she could test her other son's power. In the end, however, she still knocks him out of the ring, making her the winner of the match. She would be proud of both of her sons and how far they have come since Planet Vegeta was destroyed. She'd only wish Bardock could have seen how much their sons have grown. The final match of the tournament is between Gine and Hercule, which, as promised, Gine lets Hercule win, as she lets him punch her and she face goes flying and landing out of the ring. After the tournament is over, Goku does keep up on his promise of getting Hercule to give the prize money to Oob. He then takes off with Oob, making him promise to fight with him after his training is over. However, since he would still want to keep up on training his children, he wouldn't go off to the lookout to train. Gine would also want Pan to promise to fight with her after her training ends, so she can see how far her great-granddaughter has come under her training. Until Dragon Ball Super is finished, so that I can do GT without having to change it later because of something added in Super, this will be the end of this timeline. So, this is the end of their adventures for now, as everyone returns home, with Gine going up to Mount Paltu along with Pan, so she can go back to training with her again.